Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and today we have learned that Rainbow Six Siege is now bigger than ever. According to an IGN article that outlines the player growth over the last 8 to 9 months, not only has the game not withered away and died like a lot of people were expecting it for a multiplayer-only game, but there's now more people playing than at the release of the title. Apparently there is around 1.26 million people playing every single day. Now imagine this is over all 3 platforms. This isn't just on PC or PlayStation 4, but even still, like I was not expecting this. When the game first released, I assumed, like many other people, that even though that this is one of the most refreshing and innovative first-person shooters that have come out in a very, very long time, where we have stuff like Call of Duty and Battlefield just kind of rehashing the same thing over and over and over again, while they do it very well, to have a game like Rainbow Six come on in with destruction, tactical gameplay, and really bring us something fresh, I was worried that even though it was so incredible, that it would slowly die like every other multiplayer-only game out there. That has clearly not happened. 1.26 million people is a significant number for any video game, and for a multiplayer game, that is incredibly good news. Now, I know that some people will argue, oh, this is just due in part because they reduced the cost of entry. That $60 price tag when the game released was a pretty big barrier, but now that there's been a lot of sales, they had that $15 starter pack, they've had a couple of free-to-play weekends, that has really brought in a lot of fresh blood and helped the health of the game. And while that has been a big contributing factor, I don't think that's the only story. The simple fact that the player count has been staying steady the entire time and increasing every single time a new DLC releases, I think that there's a lot more to the story. What it really comes down to, in my opinion, is the continuous support by Ubisoft, the new anti-cheat that was just released, and the way that they've handled their DLC policy. The new anti-cheat, for example, has been a godsend to the PC community. This has been the biggest critique for a very long time, at least on the PC side of things, because the fact that Rainbow Six Siege didn't launch with a really good, robust anti-cheat was a pretty big disappointment. Now that it's here to stay, though, it is a game changer. When I was playing the other day, when they were going through their big ban wave, I noticed hundreds, if not 1,000 people getting banned over the 3 to 4 hours that I was playing. It was magnificent. If you're not aware of the way that the new anti-cheat works, basically if you're running a third-party hacking software in BattlEye, which is the new anti-cheat, it detects it, it's not even gonna let you load Rainbow Six Siege. It just won't allow you to load the game. If you're able to work around that, though, and circumvent this software, that doesn't mean you're in the home free. A lot of people probably assumed that they were good to go because they got around this problem, but then BattlEye also takes it a step further and detects if you are hacking, and as we saw, just bans you outright in these huge ban waves. I think this is gonna go a long way at not only just stabilizing the PC community, but it's also shown that now that it's released, a lot more people are gonna be interested in the game because they know that there is this assurance that it's not gonna be just rampant with hackers. Another reason why I think there's been so much success with the player-based growth is the way they've handled their DLC policy. You look at every other multiplayer game out there, they're gonna charge you for buying new maps. They're gonna charge you for new weapons or new operators or whatever you wanna call them, and that splits up the player base. Probably the best example of this is Titanfall. Now, some people might say this is comparing apples to oranges, but when Titanfall's DLC first started to release, it really killed the community because not everyone wanted to buy the DLC, and so their already small player base got split up, and that really was the nail in the coffin for that game. And so the fact that Rainbow Six Siege has had this DLC policy where the maps and the operators are free, I think has really gone a long way at sustaining the player base. You don't split anyone up, everyone's able to play, and also when a new DLC releases, it gets everyone to come on back and see all the updated changes because they know that they can enjoy it and they don't have to spend any money. I really hope that this becomes the trend for multiplayer games in the future and other game developers and publishers start to take notice. It might make sense to have paid DLC and paid map packs because at the end of the day, these are businesses. They need to generate money so that they can pay their developers to even create this content, but hopefully Ubisoft has shown that not only are there other ways of doing it, but they can actually be beneficial for the longevity of their game. Then finally, and probably one of the more influential points, is that Ubisoft has just done a decent job of updating and communicating what they're going to be doing with Rainbow Six Siege since the very beginning. If they didn't patch it and we had the same game at release to what we have right now, I can almost guarantee you that we would have a much smaller player base. It would definitely not be growing like it is right now because there were serious issues. There was netcode problems, people were dying around corners, there was a lot of bugs and glitches, but over this last 8 to 9 months, while it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride, they've done a lot to tighten up the game and make it a hell of a lot more polished. And while it's not perfect, like I don't want to paint a rosy picture here because there are still serious issues. Rainbow Six Siege is not a perfect game. It's gonna have to be updated continuously for a very, very long time. It is significantly better, and it's been this communication. It has been these updates that have gone a long way at sustaining this player base. All in all, though, I am really impressed by this news. 1.26 million is an insane amount of people playing a game every single day, and the fact that Ubisoft has somehow been able to increase their player count since the release of the game is something that very few game developers have been able to accomplish. Unless a game goes like free to play, for example, like we saw with Evolve, it is really hard to just maintain your player count. Usually it dips down over the months after release, but somehow they've been able to do almost the impossible and increase their player count significantly. You got games like Counter-Strike, League of Legends, and Dota. Those are some of the few that have been able to do that, but as we all know, those are the juggernauts of the gaming community right now. I don't know if Rainbow Six Siege is going to be able to get to the point where it becomes the next big juggernaut game where we have millions upon millions of people playing every single day, but I gotta give a big tip of my hat to Ubisoft for the way that they've handled this game so far. And so if you've been someone who's been a little reluctant to jump on in and try Rainbow Six Siege, I highly recommend that you give it a go. I mean, literally, it is bigger than it's ever been ever, and if you want to try out an amazing first-person shooter, I highly recommend that you give this one a try. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Give me your thoughts on this news. Are you just as surprised as I am? Do you think that they're going to be able to sustain this in the next couple of months? Let me know down below. But yeah, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.